Hello, friends. Why don't you stand up, give the pledge. Carly, who's absent? Need a status report. Summer, you late? Landon? All right, Unit 15. Parallel lines and proofs. Let's see what we got here. So get your packets ready. Let's go through some notes. We'll talk it up. I'll try and listen carefully to what you have to say. All right, let's see. This word transversal. Okay, that just means a line that crosses two or more lines. Okay, so this line right here, T, I think it is, T, that's a transversal because it crosses those other two lines. Okay, so over here in the notes, a line that crosses or intersects two or more lines, an example would be like T, and it intersects line L and line M. Okay? All right. Now, if we move down a little, let's get that in there. Okay. We've got this diagram over here. We've got your transversal right here. We've got L and M. Notice L and M are not parallel. Okay, so we're just talking about the angle pair relationships. Okay. Later, we'll talk about what that means if the lines are parallel, like L and M. But for now, they're not parallel, so we're just going to name the angles as these corresponding or alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior. So first of all, corresponding angles, they are angles on the same side of the transversal and in the same position. So that means like 2 and 6. They're in the same spot from one line to the other along the transversal. So 2 and 6, so we could say like angle 2 and angle 6, 1 and 5, so angle 1 and angle 5, and then the other two, like 4 and 8. So you can go ahead and fill this in, 4 and 8, and 3 and 7. Okay, and those would be corresponding. They're in the same position along the transversal relative to the two lines that's being crossed by that transversal. Alternate interior. Alternate means it crosses over the transversal. Okay? Interior means it's in between the two lines that, in this case, L and M, or if they were parallel lines, it would be inside the two parallel lines. Cross the transversal, alternate, interior, inside the two lines that's being crossed. So alternate interior would be 3 and 5. Angle 3 and angle 5. And also 4 and 6. Okay. Now, later on we'll get into lines L and M being parallel, and that means these have some special relationships. But we're just recognizing the angle pair relationship for now. Alternate exterior. So alternate would be across the transversal. Exterior be outside of the two lines that's being crossed. So 2 and 8, they alternate and they're outside. So 2 and 8. The other one, 1 and 7. Consecutive interior. That means interior between the two lines. Consecutive means they are on the same side of the transversal, so like 3 and 6, and also like 4 and 5. Okay, so there's your consecutive interior. All right, let's go down. Maybe we'll, so I can zoom a little. Okay. So example 1 says, all right, name the type of angle relationship, and if there isn't one, write none. So we're going to look at angles 1 and 8. So if I look at angle 1 and angle 8, so they are across this transversal, and they're outside the other two lines. So that would be alternate exterior. Okay, look at the next one, 2 and 3. 2 and 3, they're on the same side of the transversal, they're inside, so that is consecutive interior. All right, consecutive interior, same side of the transversal, inside the two lines. 5 and 7. 5 and 7 are in the same spot along the transversal relative to those two lines. So 5 and 7, that would be corresponding. Okay, corresponding angles. Angles 2 and 7, so looking at those two, see how they cross over the transversal, and they're inside these two lines here, so that would be alternate interior. Okay, I see what I have there, alternate interior, and previous corresponding. And get your notes caught up. All right, let's see. 1 and 3. 1 and 3, same position along the transversal, okay, relative to those two lines. So that would be corresponding. Okay, those are corresponding angles. Then the last one, 6 and 7. Those look like the same as 2 and 3, which we had up here at B. So that would be consecutive interior. Okay. All right, next one. Now we have two sets here. So this one's a little different. Just set up a little differently. It's not really different. There's just more going on. So looking here, let's see. Let's look at 5 and 13. So 5 and 13, those two, here would be the transversal. Okay, so we can kind of eliminate, the other part of the figure and say, all right, we'll just break it down into this line, transversal. 5 and 13, same position along the transversal, so that's what? Corresponding. So all right, corresponding angles. 7 and 14 would be the next one. Those cross the transversal, and they're inside the two lines C and D. So those are called alternate interior angles. Okay, there you go. Corresponding alternate interior. Okay, next we have 3 and 6. Where's 3 and 6? Oh, okay, so here would be the transversal with these two lines. So 3 and 6, those cross the transversal, and they're outside the other two lines. So that's alternate exterior. Alternate exterior. Okay. And then let's see, where's 9 and 16? 9 and 16. So it looks like we have, here would be the transversal. Here's the other two lines then. 9 and 16. So they go across the transversal and they're outside those other two lines. So that makes them alternate exterior. let's see, what do we got? 4 and 7? 4 and 7. So that would mean we'd be using this transversal, 4 and 7. They're inside the other two lines. They're inside the two lines that are being cut by the transversal, and they're on the same side of the transversal. So that's called consecutive interior. Consecutive interior. Okay. What's next? 2 and 10. So I have 2 and 10 right here. So that would put me at, I guess that would be the, eliminate those. So 2 and 10, they're in the same position along the transversal. So that would be corresponding. So we'll write that in. Corresponding angles. Let's see, 8 and 14 is the next one. So 8 and 14. So here we go. 8 and 14. Same side of the transversal. So they're consecutive, and they're inside. So consecutive interior. Consecutive interior. Let's see, 6 and 11. Where's 6 and 11? Okay. So if we look at 6 and 11, notice how 6 would be a part of this transversal or this transversal. 11 is a part of this transversal or this one. They are not in any way a part of the same transversal. So there's no relationship. So we will write none. Okay? And let's see, 4 and 13. Looks to me like that's the same idea there. 4 and 13. 4 is here. There's these two transversals. 13 at the other two, so none. Same situation as before, so that's a none. Boring. And the last one, 4 and 9. Where's 4 and 9? Oh, where's 4 and 9? Oh, okay, so 4 and 9. So 4 and 9, they cross the transversal, and they're inside the other two lines. Okay, so that's alternate interior. All right, let's move on to the next page, 3. All right, let's see what we got here. Now, here's the real reason we're learning these angle pair relationships is because when the other two lines are parallel, and you know they're parallel, first of all, if you're told they're parallel, or if they have these marks. So if you see the marks, like these two lines right here are parallel because of this arrow mark, this colored in arrow mark right here. Okay, that's telling you that those two lines that are marked the same are parallel. Now it could be a double mark, you know, if you had more than one set of parallel lines, then you'd have a double arrow mark or something like that that would tell you that they're parallel. Okay, so the rules then are this. If they're corresponding, okay, that means the same one, same position. Okay, if they're corresponding, you can read those on your paper, but if they're corresponding, that means they're congruent. Okay, and you can look at them. If these two lines are parallel, and then you have this transversal, you could look at the angles and see, oh, 2 and 6, they look the same. So if you're not sure if they're congruent, you know, or which rule, if you look at all the rules, they're all congruent except for consecutive interior, they're supplementary. So, you know, if you got to guess, you know, you could guess by looking at them. Angle 2 and angle 6, those are corresponding, so they're congruent. Alternate interior are congruent, so 3 and 5 and 4 and 6 are the same. Note, you have vertical angles. That's not a part of the rules of what we in this unit, but it comes into play because we've learned that previously. So 2 and 4 are vertical angles. Those are congruent. 1 and 3 are vertical angles, so they're congruent. 6 and 8 are vertical. 5 and 7 are vertical. Okay, so that helps. Alternate exterior are congruent, so 2 and 8, 1 and 7. Supplementary, the only supplementary ones are the consecutive ones, so like 3 and 6. You notice how they just look a little different. That one looks smaller than that one, so they're supplementary. 4 and 5, okay? So if we know one angle, I think we could find all of the angles because there's a lot of congruencies or supplementaries. Also, just as a note, 1 and 2 together, that's a linear pair, so they're supplementary. 2 and 3, 3 and 4, you can look for linear pairs and find supplementary angles as well. So if we know that angle 1 is 65, let's go ahead and fill in the figure. So we can start with everything that's congruent to 1. So 1's congruent to 3 because they're vertical. 1's congruent to 7 because they're alternate exterior. 1's congruent to 5 because they're corresponding. Okay. Now, how are we going to find 2, 4, and 6, and 8? Well, you have supplementary angles here, 1 and 2, or 1 and 4. You decide, it doesn't matter, because they're a linear pair, 1 and 2. So 180 minus 65, that's going to be what, 115? So that means 4 is 115. Alternate interior, vertical. Okay, so you can just fill in all those, and then we can come over here. You can fill that in on your paper. What was angle 2? I'm going to look back. 2 was 115. Let's pinch it down a little. 3, that would be 65. 4 would be 115. 5, 65. 6 is 115. 7 would be 65, and 8 would be 115. So note they're either congruent or they're supplementary, and there's a lot of congruent ones, okay, when you have the parallel lines. So same thing here. They give us angle 7 is 38 degrees, and they also give us angle 10, which is 102 degrees. Okay, so now let's fill in the rest. All right, let's see what we got here. Filling in the rest. So I'm going to start with the 102 degree angle and mark in everything that's congruent to that one. So these two are parallel. So this would be the transversal where I could use this angle. Okay, I can't use angle 10 with anything over here because it's a different transversal. So I'm just going to kind of block that off and say, okay, if 10 is 102, then 12 is also 102. Guess I could fill that in over here on the right-hand side at the same time. If 10 is 102, 12 is 102. If 10 is 102, also 2 is 102. Those are corresponding. So 102. Okay. So angle 2 is 102. I'll write that in on the right-hand side. So I'm just filling that in as I go on the right-hand side. After I fill it in on the chart or on the figure here, I'm just going to write it onto the right-hand side, so you can do that at the same time with me. If angle 2 is 102, angle 4 is 102. So angle 4 on the right-hand side over here, 102. What else do I know? Okay, so now for the supplementary ones. So inside here, we know those consecutive ones are supplementary. So 180 minus 102, that's 178. No, sorry, 78. So 11 is 78. So 9 is 78. I'm writing that on the right-hand side. 11 is 78. I'm writing that on the right-hand side. So I went 180 minus 102 for that one. And so then that corresponds with 3, and that corresponds with 1, so those are both 78. So on the right-hand side, I'll fill in angle 1 is 78 degrees, and angle So 3 is 78 degrees. Okay, so I've got those 8 angles. Now I'm going to go to the other set of 8 angles. All right, we're going to do the same thing. So I've got 38. So 38, so that means angle 5 is 38. They're vertical. 7 is corresponding with 15, so that's also 38. 7's alternate interior with 13, so that's also 38. And let's see, what else do we know? Those are corresponding. Okay, so now I'm going to go fill in on the right-hand side. Angle 5 is 38. Angle 13 is 38. Angle 7 we already had, and angle 15 is 38. So the rest of them would be then the supplement. So 180 minus 38, that's got to be, what, 42? 142. So 14 and 16 and 8 and 6 would all be 142. Vertical, corresponding, vertical. So 6 is 142, so now I'm on the right-hand side filling it in. 6 is 142, 8 is 142, 14 is 142, and 16 is 142. So if you look back up at the rules, your corresponding angles are congruent, your alternate interior angles are congruent, your alternate exterior angles are congruent, your vertical angles are congruent, your consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So most of those are going to have congruencies. It didn't have linear pair up there, but that is something, well, it is written. But you need to remember linear pair and vertical angles are still part of what we're doing. All right, this other figure here, what can we find out? We're given, let's see, what are we given? Angle 2 is 41 degrees, so let's write that in. And angle 5 is 94 degrees, so let's write that in. And angle 10 is 109. Okay, so we're going to use supplementary. You know that if you have a triangle, all 3 angles add up to be 180. We can use that in here. I see some triangles. We do have these 2 parallel lines. So what would be alternate interior? 2 and 9? Okay, so let's mark 9 as 41 degrees. I'm going to write that on the right-hand side now. 41 degrees on the right-hand side. Okay, so I'm filling in the right-hand side as I mark it on the figure. Okay, so if you don't see me writing it down on the right-hand side, just note that that's what I'm doing. Mark it on the figure, then over here on the right-hand side. All right, let's see. What else do I know? Parallel lines, so 7 would match with 10, right? Those would be corresponding, so that would be 109. So I'm going to write down 109 over here at 7. And, well, that's a triangle. 41, 109, and something would be 180. So let's just do that. So 180 minus 109 minus 41. So that would be what? 71. 71 minus 40 would be 30. So angle 8 would be 30, because those 3 angles together make up that triangle. And so those angles together, it's 30 degrees, not 38, 30 degrees. So those 3 together need to make up 180. So angle 8 would be 30. Double check my addition. So, yeah, okay. All right, let's see, what else do we have? Angle 5 and angle 4, those are a linear pair, right? So we could go that route. We could say angle 5 and angle 4, those add together to be 180. So what's 180 minus 94? Oh, what is 180 minus 94? Come on, someone tell me. Get your calculator out. Hurry. Okay, you got it, thanks. 86 degrees. Okay. Now we have another triangle, so we can go that route if we want. We have these three angles, 3, 4, and 9, those three angles add up to be 180. So it's 180 minus 86 minus 41. Let's see, type that in. That should be, I think, 53 degrees. So I need to fill that in. 53 degrees on my right-hand side here. Let's see, angle 4 we had is 86 degrees. What's left? 1 and 6? Okay, 1 and 6. Well, we can get 6 because it would be linear pair with with angle 7. So 109. So 180 minus 109, that would be what, 71. So angle 6 would be 71 degrees. And what about this one? Angle 1. Well, angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3, those three together would make up 180 degrees. So what's 180 minus 53 minus 41? It's got to be, what, 86? Which would be this angle. Oh yeah, 1 and 4 are also corresponding. There's parallel lines, so 4 and 1 would be corresponding, so we could have used that as well. So angle 1's 86. So there's several ways you can get through some of these. All right, what else we got? We got an assignment we got to do. Oh, more examples? Yum. Okay. Let's see, example this. So now, using those same rules, it's telling us that L is parallel to M. So I'm just gonna make a mark. You don't need to because it's told to you that they're parallel, so I'm going to just mark it just to show you the mark. It's no big deal. So now I find what's the angle pair relationship of what's shown here. Those two are alternate interior, so those would have to be equal to each other. So 9x plus 2 would equal 119. So then we just solve that. Subtract 2 and divide by 9. So 117 divided by 9, what's that? Quickly, 13. Okay, over here. Next one to the right. So what's their two relationships? So the 12x minus 8 you see is in the angle there. Okay? So those two angles together, those are consecutive. So L and M are the parallel lines from what it told us. So those two together, if they're consecutive interior, we know they're supplementary. So we have to write down 12x minus 8 plus 104 equals 180. Subtract 104. Well, we could combine 104 and negative 8. So let's see. So 104 minus 8, and then subtract that over here. So I think we'll end up with, what, 84? 180 minus 104 and plus 8. Yeah, 84. So then you take 84 divided by 12, and that is 7. Okay? Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, two variables, x and y. So how are we going to set this up? Well, those two together are equal, right? Those are corresponding because L and M are parallel. And so those, because it told us, not because they weren't marked, because it told us at the beginning of the example, but I'm just marking it because. So these two are equal, so I could set that up over here. 9x plus 25 equals 13x minus 19. Now to find y this equation with y in it and this equation over here, those two would be a linear pair. So those two together would have to add together and equal 180. So once I find x, I'll just plug it in right there, plus 17y plus 5 equals 180. Okay? So I'm going to have 13x, this one, plus the 17y one. Add those together, it would equal 180. And once I find x, then I can use it to plug in over here. So let's find x. Subtract 9x, so 25 is going to equal 4x minus 19. Subtracted 9x. Add 19. So 4x is going to equal 19 plus 25, which is what, 44? So x is 11. So there's x. Now, I take that and I plug it in over here. And I want to plug x in because this was 13x minus 19. So let's see, 13 times 11. I'll get out the calculator. Hello. 13 times 11, that's 143, minus 19, let's see, I want to just put all the like terms together, plus 5, plus 17y equals 180. So I have 143 minus 19 plus 5, that's 129. Is that right? Yeah, 129. So 129 plus 17y equals 180. Okay? Let's see, subtract 129, so 17y is going to equal 180 minus 129, which is 51. Divide by 17, y is 3. Okay. Now, you saw I sent in the email where you could download that TI graphing calculator to your desktop. If that, there's also, I think, an app too, has that same calculator. Anyway, if you look at that email, you'll see those instructions. Okay, let's go to this next one. So these two are vertical, so they're equal to each other. So we can set that up. Set that up over here. So 6x minus 7 equals 8y plus 17. So you need to find x. I can find x because these two right here are consecutive interior, and so they're supplementary. So I'm going to set that up over here on the left. It's going to be 6x minus 7 plus 3x minus 29 equals 180. Okay? So let's see. Let's go ahead and solve for x over here. So I'm adding my x's. That would be 9x. Negative 7 and negative 29, that's negative 36 equals 180. So now let's see, add 36, so 9x would be 216. And then divide by 9, so x would be what, 24? All right, so now I substitute that in over here. So 6 times 24 minus 7 equals 8y plus 17. So I'll do some calculator here. 6 times 24, enter, minus 7, enter. So this side here is 137. Subtract 17, so that's going to be 120. So divide by 8. So 120 divided by 8 is 15. All right, let's see here. Let's go to the next one. Where's my, so these are the parallel lines here. Okay, and what do I have? Those two angles would equal each other, so that's 7x minus 23 would equal 11y minus 1. Oh, no. No. Back it up. Back it up. They're on wrong transversals. Oh, just like that. Okay, let's see. I got to go this way, this transversal, because here are the parallel lines. So let's see, 7x minus 23, that angle would fit with those two together. those two together would be 7x minus 23. So let's go 3x plus 49 is going to equal 7x minus 23. So those two together would equal that one. Those would be the same angle along that transversal. Okay, so let's subtract 4x. So we're going to have, or sorry, subtract 3x would leave me 4x. Okay, then I'm going to add 23. So that's going to be 72. And then divide by 4, so x is 18. All right. So the relationship, here's the transversal, these two parallel lines. So that relationship is equal, 3x and 11y minus 1. That's what we needed. So we have x, so we're going to go 3x, plugging x in, equals 11y minus 1. So let's see, 3 times 18, that's 54. Add 1, so 55 is 11y, so y is 5. Okay, let's see, what do we got here? All right, what do we know? Well, I know this is a triangle, so those three angles add up to be 180, so we could set that up, but we need x or y first. So let's see, where's my parallel line? So L is parallel to M. Oh, those two would be alternate interior, so they're equal to each other. So I'm going to go 5x minus 38 is equal to 3x minus 4. So if I subtract 3x, that would be 2x minus 38 equals negative 4. Add 38, so that would be 38 minus 4, so 34. So x is 17. Okay. So if x is 17, I guess I could do the three angles added together would equal 180. But this is already 90, so if I go, so those two, so 180 minus 90 is 90, so those two together we just add together to be 90 if I wanted to shortcut that a little bit. So I'm going to go 5 times x minus 38 plus 7y minus 20. Now I could say plus 90 equals 180, or I could, or just skip the step of subtracting 90 over and just say equals 90. Or if you want to say plus 90 equals 180 and go from there, that's fine too. All right, let's see. I'm going to add all this up together. So 5 times 17, that's what, 85? So that's 85. Then we have minus 38, and we got the minus 20, and then the plus 7y equals 90. So 85 minus 38 minus 20, so 27 plus 7y equals 90. So subtract 27, so 90 minus 27 be 63, so y is 60, or sorry, 7y is 63, so y would be 9. Beauty. All right, so some good examples. You're going to do the exact same thing we just did. Okay, so if you look at your notes or your assignment here, name the angle pair. That's, notice they're not parallel, it's just, are they alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, whatever, okay? So you go back, look at your notes to remember the names. And then number 2, you do have parallel lines. See how they're marked parallel? So they give you a couple of the angles and you fill in the rest. And then the same that we just did, you set up your equations. What's equal? Or add these together, set equal to 180. These two added together would equal 180, or those two would equal each other. You could, there's a few different ways you can go about some of these. So note which lines are parallel. It's L and M, so it's the same as we just barely went through. And then we'll have another video for next section. All right, later.